Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Sean and today I'm doing a review of Graham Greene, The Power and the Glory. Okay, so this is a book off the top 1000 list, 1000 books to read before you die by James Mustich. I have actually read 4 Graham Greene books now. This is my 4th. I have read Our Man in Havana, The Captain and the Enemy, The Comedians, and now this book. So I know I have a tendency to repeat myself to the point of exhaustion, and I don't want to do that. No one wants me to do that. So as quickly as I can, I want to say that for this book and for the other Graham Greene books that I've read, I cannot say what I like about his writing, if it's the plot, the storytelling, the characters, the settings, the themes. I cannot say what I like about any of his books, all 4 of them. But at the end of the day, I like them, and I cannot say why. That's the only time I'm going to say that in this video. So, cutting to the chase, did I like the book? Yes. So, what to say about it? I just went on like a 10-minute lecture talking about Our Man in Havana, and this review is supposed to be for The Power and the Glory. So, all of that has been cut. And so, The Power and the Glory, what to say about it? Okay, I'm not sure whether to call this light or moderate spoilers. I guess I would call it light spoilers because it's really just kind of stuff you would get off the back of the book. So if you don't want to know any spoilers, if you just want to go into this book completely blind, go ahead and skip this part. Light spoilers. Basically, the plot of this book is about, there is this priest who, I don't know if it says his name. I think he is somewhere like 50 years old or so, maybe 60. I think he's kind of more toward his 50s though. And the main thing about him is he is in this land, I think Mexico, and they are currently really repressing religion. They're basically shooting any priest that they could find, and this guy is a priest. And so the story is about his sort of journey trying to escape them, but at the same time he doesn't want to leave Mexico because he kind of figures that's his duty, that's like his flock. So he doesn't want to leave them because then they won't have anyone to confess their sins to or anything. So he kind of wants to stay in Mexico, but he's also trying to evade the police because they're starting to round up villagers because they're tracking this guy and they want to find him by any means necessary. And so you follow this priest as he's going along, and I'm going to go ahead and put moderate spoilers here. So if you don't want to get that, go ahead and skip that. This priest is kind of a bad priest, and that's not my word, that's his word for it. He is something of a drunk. He likes alcohol, and you also find out that he fathered a child. And so, yeah, so he's kind of a bad priest. He's not like this perfect, sinless guy who is like a perfect martyr, basically a perfect sufferer for Christ or whatever. He is pretty much an immoral guy himself, but he's still trying to do his duties, even though he's not really the most respectable of men. It's basically his job. It's the only thing he knows. At the same time, he is something of a drunk, so he is not just going around trying to find people to save. He is also going around looking for alcohol and money to purchase alcohol. And he is not exactly a brave man. He doesn't really want to die. He fears death, so he is running from the people hunting him. He's not just ready to die, so he's on the move. So he's trying to do mass for the people of the villages and acquire alcohol and stay alive at the same time. And that is really most of the book. Really, it's all of the book. One quick thing I want to say about the religion in this book. So, is this book like a real dogmatic book? I know some people may hear it's a book about a priest and think, oh God, I don't want to just hear all this stuff about religion and stuff. I don't think the book was like very preachy in a way. So I don't think it's that kind of book. It's not a book that's trying to lecture you or make you feel guilty about your life or anything. It's just a story of this character and this land he's in. So I don't think it's a book that is like going to offend you at all. I don't know what will offend you, but it didn't offend me. It didn't upset me at all. It didn't make me think, oh man, this book is being preachy. So I would not let yourself get discouraged from reading this book if you're like turned off to it because it pertains to religion. It's not really that type of book. It's not a preachy book. And now I'm going to bump it up to heavy spoilers. So if you don't want to get that, skip it, because this is really spoiling the whole book. At the end of the book, he finally reaches the other country. And basically a character from earlier in the book follows him, and this character kind of has a grudge against him because the priest kind of ran away from the guy. He was kind of supposed to help this guy out, but he didn't trust him, because that's a thing of this priest character. He doesn't really trust people. And so he thinks this guy is going to betray him. And I should have mentioned that earlier in this book, right at the beginning, you find out that there are two people really being hunted. There's the priest, and there's also an American criminal who is being hunted. And he's kind of mentioned a bit in the book, not too much, but you know at some point he's going to enter the story in some way. And he does at the end. And basically this person who this priest kind of crossed says that, hey, this criminal is here. He was shot. He wants to confess. And so this priest has to decide, does he want to stay in the other country where he is free from danger? Does he basically want to live and take the cowardly path? Or does he want to return into Mexico with this guy who he knows has a grudge against him to maybe give this criminal like his deathbed confessional, if the criminal is even real, if that's even a true story? So he has to decide once and for all, is he going to run, or is he ready to stand, trust this guy, or maybe not even trust him, maybe trust him to betray him, but still giving up everything, risking his life to give this last confessional to this criminal, and risking arrest, risking execution for being a priest. Is he going to do that, or is he going to run away? And that is the final chapters of this book. I won't say what he does or what happens or how it ends. But that is basically it for spoilers. So, welcome back everyone, if you skipped the previous parts. For most of this book, as in the case with all the other Graham Greene books I've read, about 50% in, I'm like, I'm not really sure what's going on. Maybe I'm just a slow person. I don't really get it too well. But it takes me like a good halfway into his books to really understand what's going on. Then by about 70% into his books, I'm kind of like, okay, something's going to happen, right? Something's going to really shake things up and just make the whole story worth it. For the most part in Graham Greene's books, that doesn't really happen. The ending doesn't like blow me away like, oh man, I'm so glad I read this whole book because this ending has totally made it worthwhile. His books don't really do that. They're all just kind of, I don't know. Basically, they just don't have endings that blow me away that make the whole thing worth it. But I still enjoy reading them, and that's the case with this book. And I will say, though, that even though the ending wasn't like phenomenal, like, oh my god, this is so good, it was still a pretty good ending. I'd even say it's a really good ending, and it made it worth it. So I think the ending did bump it up a little bit in my ranking. So, all in all, I'd be tempted to give the book 5 stars. There's really nothing I would have to dock it a star from 4, but I'm going to give it 4 stars. And the main reason really is just because I don't think I would really call the book a masterpiece. I wouldn't say to people like, hey, you have to read this book. And that's really what a 5-star book should be. A 5-star book, I should feel comfortable telling everyone, hey, you should pick up this book. I can't really feel comfortable saying that with this book. But what I would say was I would recommend people try a Graham Greene book. And I'm not sure which book I would really recommend. So I've read Our Man in Havana, The Comedians, The Captain and the Enemy, and this one, The Power and the Glory. I've liked all of them. I've thought of all of them pretty much the same. They're all just pretty good books. Not great, not excellent, not the best books ever, but at the end of the day, I enjoy reading them. I don't think it's a waste of time. So, I do encourage you to read a Graham Greene book if you haven't already. And judging by the books I've read, I would say it's probably safe to read any book by him. Reading reviews for this book, I see that other people do say their favorite books are actually none of the books I've read by Graham Greene. So maybe I've still not even found his best book yet, but I've enjoyed every book I've read by him. So I think in a way, Graham Greene is kind of rising on the ranks of my favorite authors. Not the best author in the world, but I enjoy all of his books anyway, and I was going to repeat myself. Oh, well, I'm going to repeat myself. I don't know why. I don't know why I enjoy them, but I do. So, I do recommend you read a Graham Greene book. It doesn't have to be The Power and the Glory, though. It could be Our Man in Havana. It could be anything. So if you're curious about which book to start, this book is on the top 1,000 list, as is The End of the Affair and The Third Rail. I have not read either of those two books yet, so I can't recommend them. But those three books are off the top 1,000 list. I think The Quiet American and Brighton Rock also gets a lot of positive reviews by Graham Greene readers. So I would also look into those books as well. Anyway, I think that is about it for this review. Have you guys read any Graham Greene books yet? Have you read any of those other books that I've mentioned? What do you think of them? I definitely want to give all of them a try. So Graham Greene is an author, I think whatever book he's written, I would be willing to give it a try. And like I say, those couple other books are on the top 1,000 list, The End of the Affair and The Third Rail, so I need to read those anyway. So as soon as I find copies of those, I will get them and read them. That is it for this review. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you're doing well. Post a comment in the comments, whatever, just say whatever. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.